A 27 billion parameter model just got measured, costing 5 times more per token than a model 4 times its size. Not a typo, the bigger model is cheaper. Here's the number nobody's finished checking yet. This is Wolf Stedman at the local ceiling, where we test the claims everyone else just repeat. Let's get into it. Here's the study behind that number. Justin Stewart writing for Towards Data Science on July 28th. Wall-metered an Apple M3 Ultra, a Mac Studio with 96 gigabytes of unified memory, running 2 models back-to-back. 1. A 27 billion parameter dense model run at 8-bit. The other, GPT-oss-120b, OpenAI's open weight mixture of experts model, run at roughly 4 to 6-bit, different bit depths. Hang on to that, it matters later. The dense model, 55 cents and change per million tokens. The mixture of experts, 11 cents. The bigger model, 4 times the parameter count, came out roughly 5 times cheaper. Call it a 400+% cost gap, not a rounding error. And this was not a software estimate. Stewart clipped an external smart plug onto the wall outlet rather than reading power off the chip's own sensors, and that's the more trustworthy way to do it. On-die and software power sensors are known to undersample short spikes. The problem is documented in detail for GPUs, and the same caution applies to any chip's built-in telemetry. Wall power is the harder number to fake. Why would the bigger model ever be cheaper? Because inference cost does not track parameter count on the box. It tracks how many bytes have to move for every single token you generate. A dense model touches every one of its weights, every token, all 27 billion parameters, every time. GPT-oss-120b is a mixture of experts model. It holds about 116.8 billion parameters in memory. Call it 117, but a router picks a small slice of the network to do the actual work on any given token. For GPT-oss-120b, that slice is about 5.1 billion active parameters. Roughly 4% of the whole model fires per token. That's the entire trick. Total size decides how much memory you need to hold the model. Active size decides how much work and how much cost each token actually takes. Those are 2 different numbers. And a headline that only says 120 billion parameters is only telling you one of them. Obvious pushback. That's a Mac. Apple's unified memory is one chip talking to one pool of RAM. Does any of this hold on an ordinary graphics card? With ordinary VRAM and an ordinary memory bus? Somebody already ran that test back in March. Stefano Schotten, writing for URE, put a dense model and a mixture of experts model on one RTX 3090, using the identical quantization method for both, 4-bit AWQ with Marlin kernels. So, quantization could not be the variable. Architecture was the only thing that changed. Result: the dense model ran 41 tokens a second. The mixture of experts ran 168.4. That's roughly 4 times the throughput, about 310% faster, from the same card, the same bit width, with the only difference being which parameters actually fire. So credit where it's due. A controlled, matched quantization, single GPU test already exists, and it agrees with Apple's direction. What it does not do is turn that into a dollar figure, or check itself against anyone else's numbers. That gap is still open. Here's where it gets messy. A separate researcher, Arsen Apostolov, ran his own cost study on a 3090 pricing 8 local models by GPU power draw. One method note: he metered with NVIDIA SMI sampling, the softer on-die method from a minute ago. So hold his euro figures a little more loosely. His throughput and memory numbers are the sturdy part, and they're what this turns on. His 27 billion parameter dense model, Gemma 3, cost 0.361 euros per million output tokens. GLM 4.5 Air, a 106 billion parameter mixture of experts model, cost 1.04 euros per million. Put those 2 numbers side by side. The 106 billion parameter mixture of experts cost almost 3 times as much per token, about 190% more, than the 27 billion dense model. That's the opposite direction of the Apple result, and the opposite direction of Schotten's matched-quant test. Same shape of comparison. A big mixture of experts against a 27B dense model. Flipped outcome. Neither piece names the variable that explains the flip. It is not architecture, and it is not quantization by itself. It's whether the model actually fits in VRAM. GLM 4.5 Air is 106 billion parameters. Even compressed, that does not fit in 24 gigabytes of card memory. In Apostolov's own follow-up benchmark, running it took 23 gigabytes of VRAM, plus another 27 gigabytes spilled onto system RAM, more than doubling its footprint off the card. Once weights are moving over the system memory bus, instead of staying on the card, the mixture of experts model's whole advantage, only touching a slice of the network per token, stops mattering, because now it is also waiting on a far slower data path. And the cleanest proof sits inside Apostolov's own table. His list includes Qwen3 Coder, a 30 billion parameter mixture of experts that fits entirely on the card, 130 tokens a second at 0.112 euros per million, roughly a third the cost of his dense 27B. Same rig, same meter. The mixture of experts that fits beats the dense model 3-to-1, and the mixture of experts that spills loses to it 3-to-1 at 5.7 tokens a second. One study, both directions. And the only variable that flipped is fit. Apple's M3 Ultra has 96 gigabytes of unified memory, room for GPT-oss-120b to sit entirely in fast memory. No spill. Schotten's matched pair both fit a 24 gigabyte card clean. Apostolov's 106 billion parameter model did not fit. And that's the whole story. So the honest rule is not mixture of experts is cheaper. It's this: active parameters set the compute per token, total parameters set whether you fit in memory at all, and cost falls out of both together, not out of whichever architecture label is printed on the box. Two things worth flagging before we move on. 1. Schotten's matched-quant test used Marlin kernels, which are specifically tuned for sparse execution. Some of that speed advantage is mature software, not pure silicon. A less optimized runtime would close part of that gap. This is not purely hardware physics. 2. Parameter count and VRAM fit are not the only confound sitting in these numbers. In Apostolov's set, a 32.8 billion parameter dense reasoning model, a DeepSeek R1 distillation, came out the most expensive model on his entire list. At about 1.5 euros per million tokens, running under 7 tokens a second. More expensive than the 106 billion parameter model that spilled at a third its size, which points at what you are really buying with any of these numbers. Finished work per watt hour, a model that runs slow and spends a long stretch thinking before it answers. Hands, you less of it, whatever its architecture. That's a third variable worth knowing about, even though it is not the one this video is built around. Every number so far belongs to somebody else's study, cited, not ours. Here's the part that is actually this channel's own work. We are putting a footprint-matched pair through that same matched quantization test on our own multi-GPU rig, a Volta-class V100, a P40, and a P4. We cannot reproduce GPT-oss-120b directly. At matched 8-bit precision, it needs more VRAM than this whole rig has combined, so that model stays a cited number, not a rerun. Instead, we are running the pair people are actually downloading this year, Qwen 3.635b, a 3B, a current generation mixture of experts with 35 billion total parameters and 3 billion active, against Qwen 3.627b, its dense sibling. And that dense model is not a stand-in. It is the exact model the Apple study measured, so our numbers bolt straight onto theirs. Same quantization on both, and both sit fully resident in our VRAM with no spill. One thing this pair is not: capability matched. Total parameters set the memory bill. Active parameters set the speed, And they are also what the model thinks with on every single token. Sparsity is the trick that makes a huge model runnable at all, not a free lunch. A 3 billion active mixture of experts is a much lighter mind per token than a 27 billion dense model. And anyone who has run both side by side can feel the difference. This test isolates what tokens cost, not which model you would rather hand your work to. That test reproduces Schotten's mechanism, the fits-in memory case. It does not reproduce Epistolov's overflow case, because neither model here is big enough to spill on this hardware. That variable stays argued from his data, not demonstrated on our own hardware, unless enough of you want to see us force an overflow on purpose, which we can do as a follow-up. One more scope note. We are not putting a dollar figure on our own electricity here. Wall metering, the way Stewart did it, is the only credible way to cost real power draw. And we do not have that metering hardware on this rig yet. So our own contribution today is throughput. Tokens per second measured cleanly, not a power bill. If we get wall-calibrated power numbers later, that's a separate claim made separately when it's real. Here's what our rig measured. Prompt processing first. Dead heat, 913 tokens a second for the dense model, 922 for the mixture of experts, same 2 cards. When the work arrives as one big batch, active parameters buy you almost nothing. The silicon is busy either way. Generation is a different universe. The dense 27B, 16.9 tokens a second. The mixture of experts, the bigger file, the model that needed both cards just to exist, 74.7. That's 4.4 times the speed, at identical quantization on identical silicon, and depth does not rescue the dense model. 32,000 tokens into a conversation, the mixture of experts still holds 68 a second against 15. The gap widens slightly. One last measurement completes the picture. On the V100 alone, a configuration the mixture of experts physically cannot have. The dense model does 24 tokens a second. Splitting it across 2 cards cost it 30% of its speed. That's the pipeline tax. Every extra card in the chain taxes every token, and nothing spilled anywhere. This is the price of just distributing work across a bus. The mixture of experts pays the same tax and still finishes 4.4 times ahead. The fastest model in this video is also the only one that would not fit on one card. Why does any of this matter past one Apple benchmark? Because the open weight model market spent the first half of 2026 moving to mixture of experts specifically to cut inference cost. That's the pitch behind GPT-oss, GLM 4.5 Air, and the Qwen 3 mixture of experts line, all at once. If mixture of experts is just cheaper only holds when the model fits in memory and fails the moment it spills, that's the linchpin for anyone deciding what to actually run, not a footnote. That's the shape of it, a real cost inversion, a mechanism that explains it, and one variable, VRAM fit, that 2 separate researchers each only had half of. Every number in this video came from the people who actually measured it. We'll link all 3 studies below. If you want to see us go further, force a deliberate VRAM overflow on our own hardware, or run a bigger mixture of experts against a bigger dense model, tell us in the comments. When real numbers land, ours or anyone else's, this is where we'll put them. Subscribe if you want to be there when they do. For the local ceiling, I'm Wolf Steadman.